And a warm welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining us here for another live episode of Conversations with Michael. And we are, of course, broadcasting live from our home studio in the beautiful Willamette Valley of Oregon. And we are simulcasting these monthly streams to over, 15,000 members on our Facebook pages and on YouTube, Vimeo, and of course on our website. And for those of you that have chosen to become monthly subscribers to the Masters Unplugged program, well, Coconut and I, we deeply appreciate your support because it allows us to continue to offer these free live events. During these live streams, Michael's message goes straight to the heart, both as it relates to the state of our extended human family and their own relationship to a very conflicted reality, and to your own experience as that relates to the free-flowing energies of your soul. A lot of you have shared with us how it feels so personal to you, as if Michael is reading your mind, but he is not a mind reader. It is your energy that is always communicating, sharing the state of your own inner reality. And it is our passion to help you become more aware of that. It's our honor to be of service. Here in Oregon, the intensity of summer is just starting to wane as the leaves begin to turn. Magnificent shades of yellow, orange, and red. It's such an incredible display of beauty. And it almost feels like with the moisture in the air, at least here in Oregon, it's a little easier to breathe. It's been a really hot summer. No complaints, just very unusual. Normally, this is our time to take a little break from all the workshops and classes as the days get shorter and the nights begin to get a little colder. But as all of you know, these are not normal times. You can feel inside of you and all around you how this moment in time is calling for something new, radically different. Oh, it can take many forms, but for the most part, we serve those that tend to enjoy walking the path least traveled, to experience something new. Most of you live your life from your heart. It allows you to feel things that others do not. But it also makes you ultra sensitive to all the changes happening both within you and all around you, which in turn makes it really important to know what is your energy in all of this. How does that feel when you allow all that you are to also exist inside this human body, this human experience? When you're living alongside a very mental presence, well, the energy can feel as cold as steel. But your own energy is filled with so much compassion, so much joy, and so much integrity. You can feel it anytime you want. After all, it is your energy. And if you need a quick recharge or simply a reminder of that truth, just take a deep breath and love yourself in the most personal way. Let's just do that right here now. Let's take a deep breath and feel the deepest appreciation just for you and just as you are. And another deep breath. And feel the compassion for how challenging this is for the human part to allow something so incredibly magnificent as your soul to coexist with it. And another deep breath. Love yourself in silence, with your mind now in service to you, soul. In silence, such a profound state of love, to be silent. Very good. We have the deepest respect for such a choice. But it's challenging to experience the freedom to just be you when you're also living alongside a very conflicted human family. But just being you is so rare on this planet that it often gets overlooked. Despite that, being yourself offers some hope for this human family. Because while you are being yourself, you realize that this conflicted state of consciousness isn't normal. Let's be honest. It never has been. For most of you, you've known this for most of your life. You just didn't know why it was so hard for you to relate to the status quo. And now we know the reality that all of us birthed ourself into also supports itself. Through what? Well, from our perspective, through conflict. And in that reality, there are never any long-term winners or losers. It represents an ongoing battle between opposites. Light and dark, male and female, rich and poor, human and angel. But despite all of that, what all of you have embraced is actually truly extraordinary. You discovered, with a little help from a few friends, that if it is allowed, there is a way out of this conflicted reality. But if that is true, why have so few embraced it? Well, there are a lot of reasons, but for the most part, it requires that your mind let go of its control over your perceptions. And that too is not an easy thing to do. It's why we have such a passion for serving the teachings of Michael. It's such an honor to serve some of the most courageous human beings we have ever met in service to your freedom. And if you're open to receiving some additional support, well, stick around at the end of today's show, just for a minute. We're going to highlight some of our upcoming events, all of which have been designed to help free you from this mental construct of a reality. Let's take another deep breath. We're proud of the fact that all of the things that we are in service to helps to free you from feeling a lack of anything. Because what you'll discover will blow your mind. Being you is enough. It's that simple. You no longer need to settle for anything less than that. I initially served Michael as a conscious channel. But during the last 10 years, I'm now sharing what is available to any human being. A multifaceted experience between my human part, my soul, and my eternal self. which for the most part doesn't exist inside of a linear, singular perception of any reality. I get it. Some call this channeling, but I don't. I believe it represents the next step in the embodiment of your soul, to now embrace your own multidimensional nature, not as something that is weird, because this too feels so natural to your heart, but very, very challenging for your mind to accept. So there has been a call to all who serve the light of creation. Not the light that pushes against your own shadow, but the light of consciousness, your soul's passion and motion. A call to serve this human family as radiant beings. But sometimes this light can get diminished when it's so focused on doing life. So we spend a lot of time working with those who feel in their heart a call to reunite with the being part of themselves. And again, it's why we're so incredibly amazed. It's not an easy thing to do. It takes a true master to acknowledge all the illusions that have helped to support this human experience, while living alongside a mental construct that likes to pretend that the being part doesn't exist. It takes a lot of courage to acknowledge how our mind has been seduced by such a reality. Doing life has become the norm on this planet for a very, very long time. Only a few have experienced the freedom that resides outside of such a perception. And those that did, well, they were labeled many things. Some of you here today resist this freedom for yourself because of some of those labels. But for the most part, they ascended from relying on conflicted energies to support their own life. And because of that, it appeared to others that they were either enlightened or delusional. Most of you that are watching today's stream have made a very similar choice: to embrace a state of consciousness that feels true to your own heart. And being the cosmic explorer that you are, instead of ascending from a conflicted state of consciousness into the etheric realms, you've chosen to experience this ascended state, staying here on the planet as a human being, in service to the light of your own consciousness. And if you look at the world around us, well, you can clearly see why that choice is so important right now, as it relates to humanity's freedom by being on this planet but not of it. And on that note, I once again move from sharing a blended expression of my soul nature to now allow Michael to step forward, which allows him to share his own unique perspective. Indeed it does. It is I, Michael, a sovereign creator of my own experience, now joining hands with others on this planet who have made the same choice. And what have all of you discovered? Indeed, not so easy. Sometimes you feel like you bit off more than you can chew. The conflicted energies that Robert was referring to, they've taken the form of self-doubt, worry, and concern. They have manifested in the form of what you call your abundance issues. They feed on all those self-worth and deservability issues by processing your thoughts and emotions. And after all these years, all these lifetimes feeling trapped inside of this mental construct of a reality, for so many of you, you can now see this reality for what it really is. It is not evil. It's based, however, on a perception that you have inherited. And that too is why you are here. Some would ask us, why do so few get to taste such a freedom? After all these lifetimes, why so few? Well, what have all of you discovered? Indeed, it takes a lot of courage, determination, and a type of devotion that is very, very rare. A willingness to take that deep dive into your own inner reality and to become conscious of your light shadow and not to become overwhelmed by its fear for living life itself. But what so many of you have also discovered has now shifted your life in a very dramatic way. During our recent iSpirit course, we invited all those that participated to visit my home, the House of Michael. Now, it's not a place, but it represents a state of consciousness. And what so many discovered during our guided journey was, well, it was profound. You experienced an unbiased, neutral presence of energy. But this very presence also exists inside the core of your own soul nature, in support of your multidimensional, multifaceted self. This awareness and the experience of these other facets of you opens your perception to worlds that are beyond your wildest imagination. Realities that, for the most part, have been unknown to you as a human being until now. So we created a safe space inside the iSpirit course to help any who participated in that course to experience such a state for themselves. As you begin to explore the true nature of your own creations, you naturally become aware that this very conflicted game has hypnotized the mind of most human beings. All of those unresolved feelings of being trapped, they begin to dissolve quite quickly as your human part begins to rely more and more on this unbiased neutral presence for its own support and guidance. But the task of being inside of that presence while also being on this planet, we can't say it enough. It can be very, very challenging, as all of you have discovered. You're not doing anything wrong. Just acknowledge. This is why those that walk the same path as you previous to this lifetime split. It's very challenging to be in one world and have one foot in the other. We have the honor, truly an honor, of serving some of those who are at the front line of these changes by encouraging each of you to stop relying as well on your mind for support and guidance. Stop relying on those victim parts of you to help you feel safe. We have encouraged all of you to allow your mind to play the part it was designed to play in service to your own heart, your divine presence, your being part. And we can see that unfolding as we speak. It's amazing to watch. Like a flower opening its petals to the rays of light from the sun. It is simply a beautiful thing to witness. Robert openly shared some of his own personal experiences with that type of unfolding in our latest workshop titled Employ You. And for the longest time, it was your human pride that interfered with this type of freedom. The freedom to be on this planet, but not of it. It's the not of it part that has really triggered your mind. It wanted to prove that without this thing called the soul being present, you can appear just as competent, just as reliable, just as responsible as any other human being. And yet, none of you just couldn't get rid of this feeling that something was missing. Your mind has done everything in its power to try to persuade you to ignore that feeling. But luckily for you, it failed. Even though it might appear to others that you're delusional, to believe that the presence of the original self, God, lives inside of you. So this conflicted reality, one that feeds itself on feeling conflicted, gladly embraced your pride as yet another food source for its own survival. Are you clear about that? But the good news, yes, where would we be without the good news? Many of you, more than ever before, during this lifetime, released this sense of what we call false pride. And you now pride yourself for allowing these conflicted energies to just be as they are, but without getting engaged. And you can see it all around you. It is impacting every facet of the human experience. But again, conflicted energies are not evil. This doesn't represent some intergalactic conspiracy. It represents what is created when any being begins to doubt itself as being divine too. The doubt creates the separation in all those perceptions that begin to follow such a choice. The choice to pretend, that's right, to pretend that you are not the original self. Here on earth, as a human being, we understand within this conflicted reality we speak of, our words make no sense. How does one live on this planet and not be affected by all the wars, all the diseases? How does one exist as a fully awakened human, knowing that every single minute another 11 human beings will die from a lack of food? We know it breaks the heart of most people to witness so much pain and suffering. But it's not the natural state of the human spirit that is creating the world you live in. It is a conflicted, polarized mental construct of a reality that is the cause. All those that ascended from this world realize this for themselves. And now it is your turn, those that we have the honor of serving. My friends, you won't find the answers your heart is searching for inside this mental construct. And as hard as you try, as devoted as you might be to try to change the world, it's the energy itself that pushes back against what feels so wrong that actually supports the very system or reality you were hoping to change. So we know it takes a lot of courage to finally declare, I've had enough. I've had enough of the battle, both from within and what appears to be outside of me. I've had enough of allowing this conflicted reality support itself by feeding off of my human emotions. You actually do care so much about the quality of life on this planet and all future generations that you were willing to explore any solution, all possibilities, even if it is unknown to the vast majority of people. So many of you stood tall and declared that it is you and only you that can change the quality of your own life. So what did you do? You flushed your human pride down the toilet. Indeed. And started to allow the unlimited support from the core of your soul to now be a part of your day-to-day reality. And at first, it left all of you feeling very unstable as the light of your own heart began to expose that which is not yours to carry any longer. If it is conflicted or confused, those emotions, those beliefs no longer represent you. You discovered a new freedom by also creating a new identity, one that has been called many things. We call it a creator, or of late, the new mystic. The title itself, though, represents being sovereign. One who has no interest in playing games with himself, simply because too much is at stake. Beginning with your own joy. Your joy in all of this has now become a priceless commodity. You're no longer willing to compromise such a feeling. And as a creator, you know that now you are actually creating it all. At least what exists inside your own creations. And because you gladly accepted the role as the author of your own story, the director of your own movie, you realize that you now have the ability, with the presence of your soul, to create whatever experience your heart desires. That, my friends, is a really bold choice, a radical choice. In part because you'll never be able to validate such a choice with most of your family or friends. Because there's no tangible evidence that this thing called your soul even exists. To make such a thing real, you had to go way beyond faith. You had to take a quantum leap beyond your beliefs. It had to become tangible, a tangible experience, one that is unique to every one of you. But the experience that you are now sharing with each other has deeply touched your heart, as your human part allows your soul to now be present. More and more and more, each and every day. Now we're moving into what we call the voice of your soul, soul speak, allowing this part of you to not only be present energetically, but to express itself as a human being. Imagine that. Given the part of you that was the one that incarnated on this planet, now permission to speak. Profound. Very profound. But what was the first thing you noticed? When the mind wasn't filtering its voice, did it feel natural to you? The voice of your soul. Indeed. And that's because your soul isn't conflicted. It doesn't have any control issues, unfulfilled desires, or a number of problems with its self-esteem. And to your human part, now living alongside it, coexisting, this can be a little intimidating until it realizes that this very presence has never forced itself upon your human part. It allowed your human part to pretend that its voice was your soul's voice. So the human must allow it to be present if it does want tangible evidence that indeed the soul is real and does exist, which of course creates yet another profound moment in the life of every human being. And why is that? Because you begin to wonder if any of those control issues, unfulfilled desires, or self-esteem problems, if any of them were even real, or if they only exist inside of a conflicted reality. Which brought up the next question for all of you. Are conflicted realities real, Michael? Well, through the eyes of a conflicted human being, they sure do appear to be real. But through the eyes of your soul, which many of you have now allowed to coexist along the only known reality for the vast majority of people on this planet? Not really. But the fact that it is willing to accept it should tell you what is also real about the nature of your soul. Unconditional compassion. Oh, don't get us wrong here. We're not talking about pity. Your soul doesn't do pity parties. But it does feel a profound sense of compassion for whatever your human part has chosen. And a profound sense of joy for allowing it to reclaim this physical experience to be its own. Indeed. So it is this very compassion that will allow all of you to stay on this planet far longer than any other soul being. We know that for some of you, you got so consumed by all the drama on this planet, feeling conflicted started to feel normal. Everywhere you look, you can see it playing itself out. But now, with your soul present, your sensitivity to this drama is at an all-time high. And that takes a while getting used to that. And if you're looking for some relief, you're welcome to put your feet up and join us in our drama-free zone on our website. I, Michael, am always there in service to the integration of your soul and, of course, your own freedom. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just there radiating my own light. Let's take a deep breath. So let's be clear about a few things. The freedom we are speaking of doesn't just manifest when the wars finally end, but the possibility of them ending becomes very real with your soul radiating its light on this planet. It doesn't manifest when all diseases have been eliminated, but the possibility of that changing becomes very real with your soul radiating its light on this planet. These conflicted energies have been entertaining humanity for a very long time. It wasn't enough to have them exist inside your own story. Now they are being broadcast for all to see and to feel through the internet in real time. So our solution to the human dilemma won't win any popularity contests, nor does it come with any guarantee except for one. We promise you the path of being a conscious creator will indeed turn your life upside down. And not everyone who feels drawn to our work is willing to go the distance. But for those that are, they discover something that is priceless. They discover themselves. Oh, not just as a human personality. They discover a very ancient presence that has been inside of them the whole time. And they discover this presence will not force itself upon you. Such is the state of consciousness. It gave all beings the freedom to be whatever they choose to be. So many of you have now chosen to be the divine incarnate. That doesn't mean you end up presenting yourself in a white robe with flowers thrown at your feet. Oh, we will gladly provide you with such a ceremony just for the fun of it when you leave this planet. But while you're here, your divinity doesn't need to be recognized. It already knows who and what it is. Its joy is to experience itself inside of its own creation, here on earth, as a human being, playing whatever role it wants, just for the joy of it. For some, it might play the role of a type of guide or a teacher. For others, it's a prankster, an artist, or a walking comedian. But it is now on this planet, inside of a few thousand human beings, without any fanfare or celebration. It doesn't want to be admired or worshipped, nor does it want to play the role that many have projected it to play. It knows that its light is needed here on earth at this time. It doesn't have any problem sharing such a light. There is absolutely no drama connected to this presence. And it's not here to save anyone. Simply because it knows, really, no one really needs to be saved. From what? A conflicted reality? If you don't like it, then don't play in it. Why did that never become a commandment? I'll never know. We want to thank our partner, Robert, for allowing us to work with so many of you in such a personal way. There's a lot going on inside of Ancient Wings during the next couple of months, only because so many of you can feel the opportunity of a lifetime is now right in front of you. Our service is to help you make a conscious choice to now allow it to play a part of your life. And as we bring today's session to a close, we want to thank all of you for your service to this planet. We can see a variety of potential outcomes this human family might choose for themselves. Some of those might surprise you, while others have the potential to break your heart. If it's your light that you're sharing, though, it can't be forced upon any other being, place, or thing. If it's your light that you serve, the purity of it can't be realized while playing inside of this conflicted reality. If your heart is calling you to serve this light, it's time for you to step out of all the power games, all the drama, and step into your own divinity so that you can serve the drama. You can serve this conflicted reality. You don't need to follow our way to find your way. But this is the time, right now, to make it real. All of our blessings to each and every one of you. Without you, we're not here. And without us, neither are you. All my blessings.